Guys, I mean it when I tell you that 1989 was an absolutely awesome time to be a horror fan. So what up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Miles of Horror, your home for all things horror, physical media, and indie cult cinema. And as always, the only channel that's going to make you scream. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you'd be so kind as to hit that like button, please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, share with your family. Let's get to 500 subs. I appreciate everyone that has done so already. It doesn't cost you a thing to like the video. That really helps get the video spread. So let's get right into today's topic. As I mentioned on the hook, 1989 was an absolutely awesome time to be a horror fan, truly. Right before the 90s kicked in, we had a ton of great sequels. And in the age of fitness in 2025, where everywhere you go, you got a fitness influencer, you go to the gym, you have people recording, all over social media. You're getting, the feed on social media posts, fitness influencers and gym goers and gym culture. It's a big, big thing these days. I wanted to revisit this 1989 absolute banger of a movie and do it an in-depth review because to be honest with you, like you watch this movie now and you might just think twice about going to the gym.
They are the rich and the beautiful. They have the best, and they want it all. So they come to the world's most exclusive health spa to use the latest equipment. But beneath the surface, something is lurking. Something unholy. Something deadly. Death Spa, the place for a killer workout.
So as I mentioned, if you haven't already guessed it, 1989 was the year, and I'm talking none other than the incomparable Death Spa, one of my absolute favorite um, 80s movies, really. It's kind of like a slasher kind of vibe, but there's some supernatural stuff going on. And so I want to take you guys back to 1989, take you back to that year because what a year for horror, truly. Now I do want to make note that I have the VHS. There's a very rare VHS, goes for big money. This is kind of like my sacred copy, and then I have a watch along copy that when I watch it, I'll watch this Gorgon Video Clam. But there is a Blu-ray available. So if you want to get this to watch, if you haven't seen it, grab the Blu-ray. It's super cheap. And it's probably the best bang for your buck. So yeah, definitely check out the Blu-ray. I think I saw there was like a couple left on Diabolic a couple weeks ago, but I think it's readily available. You can probably find it. But anyways, let's go back to 1989 because what it was a really, really great year for horror. Take a peek at these movies that came out in 1989. You ready for this? 976 Evil, directed by Robert Englund. Beyond Dream's Door, Beyond the Door 3. Beware Children at Play, which is a lot of fun. Vinegar Syndrome did a restoration of that. Really, really cool. The Cellar, you had Chud 2, The Church. You had Curse 2, Don't Panic. You had Elves. You had Flesh Eating Mothers, a personal favorite of mine. The Fly 2. You had Freak Show. You had Jason Takes Manhattan, Grave Robbers, Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers, Intruder, a really cool, underrated slasher. You had Monster High. You had A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. You had Offerings, Pet Cemetery, Phantom of the Mall Cop, Eric's Revenge, the original Puppet Master of 1989. You had Shocker, Wes Craven's Shocker, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, which is an absolute pile of garbage. I hate that movie so much. Skinned Alive. You have Sleepaway Camp 3. Fantastic stuff. You have Society, one of my absolute favorite body horror movies of all time. If not my favorite. Stepfather 2, Toxic Avengers 2 and 3, The Vineyard with James Hong, you had Warlock, and you had Witch Story. So like really, really popping off that year for horror. So really good, year for horror. And of course you had Death Spa. And so, a lot of really fun things that year. And it was an era of horror that things could just be outrageous. Okay, you could get away with really anything in a horror movie, and it was just kind of overlooked because there was so much minutia in these plots, and there was so much happening that really just like didn't have to make sense. Fans just wanted more of it, and studios were thinking of the craziest plots they possibly could. Where can we set a horror movie? What can we do with this plot? What's the craziest thing we could think of? And enter Death Spa. So in my opinion, in 2025, it really feels like the perfect horror movie in the age of the fitness influencer, and a movie that truly proved that in 1989 you could get away with just about anything. So anyway, it's got a great cast, by the way. Ken Faree, starring Dawn of the Dead, is in it. But so let's start with the opening scene, right? And this is gonna be mostly spoiler free. So if you do want to watch it, don't worry that I'm gonna like ruin anything. I am just gonna talk mostly about the movie without giving any real spoilers, etc. Maybe a couple deaths, but there's so much death in this movie that I promise you won't ruin anything for you. But anyway, so right from the bat, you have the opening scene where it pans out on the Star Body Health Spa, right? Super, super cool vibe to start. And then it's kind of like a rainy and dark night, and the lightning strikes, and then you just see some of the letters go out, and it just says Death Spa. And so right at the bat, like great foreshadowing right there. From the start, like this movie is gonna be fun, it's gonna be campy. And then right after the lightning, there's this kind of building momentum in the spa as the lights kind of flicker off and on, and there's these dark, ominous piano tones, bong, bong, with each light that goes off. And again, so right from the start, it sets this kind of really awesome tone that really feels like an homage to that time period, and the sound effects and how it kind of begins. So that's right off the bat. So I strongly recommend. Again, like if you're a horror fan, you like campy, you like gore, you're gonna like this movie. It's just a lot of fun. Um, let's take a look at the one-liners in this movie, because this was the 80s were a wonderful time to be alive as far as horror is concerned, and we have just fantastic one-liners in this movie. My favorite is this. This chick is kind of hitting on this dude while he's at one of the machines, and he says to her, she's kind of hitting on him, and he goes, "I never show off in the gym. And besides, I'm a beta and you're a VHS." So like it was just classic. Like he shuts her down big time. And again, this is 1989 we're talking about. So it was just there's a lot of really great lines like that kind of hit you in all the right ways. So the basic plot of the movie, the basic premise is that there's this spa, right? And it's kind of like a higher end, upper echelon spa for people who are wealthy. And what separates this spa from other spas and other fitness centers, that there's a command center with a machine that controls everything in the gym. Okay, and you can control the weights of things and the resistance on things and the speeds on things. And there's essentially, one or two guys behind the scenes that are always controlling things, and they can adjust all these things accordingly. Which, as you can imagine, can create some situations for some of the characters that might not be ideal. The main character, Michael, his wife dies, and it turns out she was burned to outrageous proportions. That's all we really know, and we do get some somewhat consistent dream sequences throughout, or flashbacks where we see his wife. And there's fire everywhere. We find out pretty quickly that she actually killed herself and lit herself on fire. And so at the spa, things slowly start to bizarrely, malfunction, like the shower's getting too hot, or the tiles flying off the walls, or the diving board breaks, or the weight machines get increased on their own. And the spa rooms get turned up to the gas, and the spas get turned up to massive proportions, and the chest press fly machine, gets cranked, and someone's ribs get smashed or ripped rather. And all these things kind of add up, and it continues to just create this massive dilemma for the spa and for the owners, and what should they be doing, because there's death and destruction. But most notably, all these things kind of come together to create this like profound outrageousness where like anything is possible in this movie, like to the point where like heads start to explode for no reason. Dead animals start coming back to life in freezers, which have absolutely no reason to happen, but it's just like the reason why this time period rules, because you can just have things like that just don't make sense, and it just kind of is so over the top, and there's no real explanation as to why that could happen or does happen, but it does happen, and it just works, and it's awesome. And again, like I said at the hook, like in 1989, you can get away with just about anything. And so that's kind of the basic premise of the movie. And the owners of the club, they don't want to take anything away from the manual settings because they feel that's what sets them apart from other spas and what makes their place so unique. And people just continue to get hurt in awesome ways. So, that spot is a really fun vibe. I'll let you guys take a look at the artwork there. This is the original art. You'll sweat blood. You guys see that? Some auto focus there. It's just a good time, and you'll notice that one of the main characters has like a skull here. She's wearing like a skull. There's some Halloween vibes in it as well because there's a party. I think it's a Halloween party, if I'm not mistaken. It's definitely they're all dressed up in costumes, and it creates for an opportunity for people to be under mask and you don't necessarily know what's going on. And so Despot is a wonderful, genre piece from that time period that just, it's everything you could want in a horror movie from the late 80s. And just, it pops off in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. Truly, it's just so much fun. So hit me up in the comments if you've seen Despot. Also, shout out to, my boy Garrett over at Board Grad because he'd used Death Spa as one of his movies of the month that you might have missed, and that's kind of what re-sparked my love for this movie. And I was like, you know what, I gotta rewatch this because I just love this movie. And again, in 2025, in the age of the fitness influencer, it's so relevant. It really is. Like they could do a remake of this. I think it would slap. Like I think they really should. So anyway, hit me up in the comments if you've seen Death Spa. If you haven't, and remember to like and subscribe, guys. It costs you nothing, and I appreciate you guys hanging out. Peace.